on, folks? It's your boy Alberto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. Man, quick recap on today's loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Falcons lost 19 to 16 in a game that we saw much of what's been the reoccurring theme here in Atlanta is Mariota not living up to what he does. Mariota finished today 13 for 24 for 167 yards passing. One TD, one INT. That one TD going to Michael Pruitt, the backup tight end, and that costly interception happened at, you guessed it, the end of the game. Game on the line. Even though he had to go the length of the field to make something happen or to get into field goal range, it's not Mariota's game, man. So he ended up throwing an interception to Minka Fitzpatrick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was game, folks. So a lot of things this game, Mariota trying to push the ball down the field, which, man, it's week 13, bro. You're not gonna grow an arm overnight. That's not your game. So don't try and force it. He overthrew so many passes in today's game, which were like, man, who's he throwing it to, man? It's just frustrating to see. Um, the one lone bright spot out of this, Drake London broke out, so to say, finished with 6 catches for 95 yards. And, some passes or some more targets and catches were missed out because, he severely overthrew some of the passes. But could have been a game where Drake London could have broke that 100-yard mark. But after him, really, there was no production from the wide receivers. And that's again, that falls on Mariota. Hitting his throwing abilities, and also it falls on the coaching staff and their inability to get playmakers the ball in the right positions. Over the past several weeks, we have seen little to nothing from Zacchaeus, Cordero Hodge, and Damian Bird. You know what I mean? Damian Bird's a guy that anytime he catches the ball, man, or he makes something happen. Um, he's pretty clutch in those things, man. But those guys have fallen by the wayside, so to say, and been forgotten factors in this offense. The bright spot, another bright spot, the rushing attack. Atlanta finished with 146 yards rushing total. Cordero Patterson, 11 attempts for 60 yards. Tyler Algier, 10 attempts for 52 yards. Both of those gentlemen ran with authority, with aggression, great vision. We began gashing the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. One of the more stout defenses in the NFL, with rushing at ranking 6th in that department at stopping the run. But they came in with some liabilities, and that's an over aggressive defense that I think the Falcons should have capitalized on from the beginning. They should have started with the rushing attack a little bit earlier to set up the would be pass game that we saw to start the game. They went into the game with a really banged up T.J. Watt, a really great caliber pass rusher in Alex Highsmith on the other end, but Atlanta found a good way to neutralize that guy by chipping in and putting extra protection on that side for Jake Matthews. So why didn't we attack the edges a little bit more is one of the questions. Myself and Antoine Smitty Smith always talk about it, man. The inability to change into or to adapt to in-game changes, man. It's just these folks, they don't see it. This coaching staff doesn't see it, and they just live and die by what they preach all week during practice and leading up to the game. They don't make any necessary changes. I for one, if I would have definitely keyed in on T.J. Watt and on that side of the ball, and have Pittsburgh change their defensive philosophy going into the game, and then like a moving chess pieces, man. Uh, we make a move, Pittsburgh, what's your next move, and we capitalize on that. But that's neither here nor there. That's just my thought. But yeah, again, great rushing again by Patterson and Algier, but lost in the shuffle for another week. Caleb Huntley. Caleb Huntley had 4 attempts for 17 yards. He averaged 4.3 yards a carry. And yeah, seems like a high number. But it was It was a short output in yards. I don't understand why the Falcons don't utilize this guy more. Um, this guy, and I'll continue to say this, man. This was the guy that was the necessary spark against Cleveland early in the year. And when Cordero Patterson went down, he toted the rock, man. He carried the rushing attack, man, between him and Algier. Both of those gentlemen built a good reputation in rushing at key moments and making good plays. And Atlanta, for whatever reason, has shied away from his services. I know that the ankle injury has been brought up in discussion as a possible reason why he hasn't had the offensive output that we're accustomed to seeing. But still, today he ran with authority on the quick attempts that he did. So I don't understand. I don't understand why they don't use him more often. Could have definitely been another one of those X Factor type guys today. But needless to say, man, Atlanta Falcons lost today, 19-16. Going into the bye, we have a late bye, week 14. This being week 13. They get much needed rest and heal up some of their injuries and their bones and stuff like that. But the question that's out there now, is it time for Desmond Ritter? I, for one, say yes, it is. Uh, Marcus Mariota is not going to show you anything more than what he's shown you all year. This guy, if it wasn't for a overtime victory in Carolina, I believe week 10, and that one-off performance that he put on against San Francisco, um, he hasn't thrown for over 200 yards. Those were the only two games that he threw 200 yards for. This guy has been very mediocre in passing. 150 yards, 170 yards, 190 yards. Those numbers, they're not going to cut it, man. They're not going to cut it in the NFL nowadays, man. I mean, I know that he's not a pocket passer or anything like that, but still, he's not a winning recipe right now, and he's not working for Atlanta. So definitely after the bye, it's something that excuse me, Coach Arthur Smith and company have to really, really, really evaluate. And this, I'm just looking at this now per Michael Rothstein on Twitter. I guess that question was asked to Arthur Smith, and Arthur Smith went on to say, doesn't rule out the possibility of change from Marcus to Desmond. Everything will be evaluated going forward. And that's going into the buy-in after. So, I mean, if there's a good time to bring in the kid, why not now? Let him play out these last four games. Show us what he has. We can build on what he does good, what we'll work on the offseason, and what he doesn't do as well. And that'll change the mindset of what free agents we bring in to suit his strengths. How do we draft in the draft to suit his strengths? Because evidently you're gonna want to fortify that offensive line if we're gonna start Desmond Ritter next year, unless Atlanta has a different outlook in free agency, and they're holding in on one guy specifically at the quarterback position in free agency. I know there's a couple names out there. The big ticket being Lamar Jackson. David Carr's may be available. Ryan Tannehill may be available. I mean, I was on the show today with Smitty post game, and I threw out a name. Trey Lance is another guy, given Jimmy G's status with the team now. Now that he's open to an extension with San Francisco, that might make Trey Lance, up for grabs, so to say. But we definitely got to see what Desmond Ritter can do. And my guy Smitty said it best. Desmond Ritter, although he started in preseason, that's against second and third stringers. You know what I mean? Let's see what he can do going forward against number first stringers and capable defenses that he has coming up. Our last four games are against New Orleans, Baltimore, Arizona, and to close out the season, Tampa Bay. Put him out there, see what he can do. I'd rather see the mistakes made with him as a rookie than seeing the mistakes made now with a veteran like Mariota. So, I mean, I would definitely be happy to say or see that today is the last start of the Mariota tenure in Atlanta, and I hope that it comes to an end, man. I think the fans of Atlanta deserve better. we want better product on the field, of course. You know what I mean. Uh, Week in and week out, it's heartache, and a lot of it's spearheaded by Mariota and the coaching staff too. Because these guys, their responsibility is to put the best product on the field, put the most, um, yeah, just the the best product on the field week in and week out, man. And they're struggling to do that. So I I say it's time. I say it's time. That's my opinion. That's what I feel, man. I would like to see what the kid does, so we can move forward with this, and we can, if he is going to be the guy, we'll know what directions to navigate in. But those are my thoughts, man. If you're new to the show, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Share this, like this. Get my recommendations up, man. I truly appreciate it. But yeah, like I mentioned, man, this is 95 North Falcons Talk Show. Drop those comments in the comment box, man. Like and share. And yeah, man. Hopefully it's Ritter time, guys. All right. Peace.